Hey guys, it's Maz here, founder of the Fitness Freedom Flow. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If not, welcome back. So first of all, thanks so much for stopping by my channel. I really do appreciate it. I thought I would do a vlog today about 10 tips for traveling solo. The reason I decided to do this is because my roommate, yes, I have a roommate now. So for the guys that have been following me since the start of my journey, I did used to live alone, but now I've kind of downsized my life and am now sharing, and I have a roommate. So yeah, she's actually going to go to India on her own. I won't take all the credit for it, but I kind of helped convince her to go and pushed her to do it because I think traveling is the world's biggest teacher, and it's just absolutely amazing, and especially traveling alone. So she actually asked me for some advice on traveling alone and traveling solo, so I thought I'd share my top 10 tips to anyone out there that is thinking of or about to go traveling solo also. I did write, I'm also a writer, but I did do a vlog about a year ago on my channel about this. There's a few different tips that I have now, but I just thought I'd do a new version. So I hope you guys do find some value in this, and I hope it helps you out if you are thinking of going to travel alone and travel solo. And if you do like this vlog, I would really appreciate for you to hit that big thumbs up button, and show your support by hitting that subscribe button down below, because it really does help my little channel stay afloat. Tip number 1 is to photocopy all of your ID, so passports, travel insurance, license, anything that you need, like even your itinerary, everything, photocopy everything and email it to a friend or family member. This way, if anything happens while you are overseas, you can easily just contact them and ask them to forward it to you. If it's over email, it's easy. If you've already photocopied it and sent the attachments, it makes it easy for, you know, your family member or friend to just forward it and send it back to your email, which, you know, you can access email quite easily if you go anywhere. Usually traveling, a lot of places have Wi-Fi or internet cafes, but make sure to do this just because you never know what could happen. What if you're like on a long tail boat in Thailand or Asia or something and everything just happens to go overboard and there goes all your ID? You're kind of lost without it, and it's going to be very difficult to recover. Identification, that's like something really important. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2. So tip number 2 is with your bank cards or travel cards, ATM cards, whatever you want to call them, make sure you have more than one. So I usually have 2 travel cards, and then my normal debit card or credit card or whatnot, but always leave one in your, like wherever you're staying, your backpacking lodge, hotel, wherever you're staying, hostel, because again, you never know what could happen. So if you watch one of my earlier vlogs a couple of years ago, I was in Cambodia, and the first night, like I went there alone, and the first night I was exploring Siem Reap, an ATM took my card and I only had $1 American. So thankfully, I did end up getting home. You can watch that vlog to see what happened. But in regards to having another card, if you only have one ATM card, what are you going to do if anything happens to the first one? Well, the only one. Tip number 3. So my tip number 3 is to always make friends with the locals. Reason I say this is, 1, you'll have a great experience. 2, you'll learn so much more about the culture. And 3, the locals know where the best places are to go. Like if you just go to where Google tells you to and all the tourist spots and everything, you're gonna find you're gonna be dropping a lot of coin, spending cash like But if you make friends with the locals, they're gonna know all the hotspots that the tourists don't usually know about. And what you'll find is in a lot of cities around the world, there is like the tourist places and everything there is like jacked up, a lot more expensive. And then there are the places the locals know about where everything is so much cheaper. Even the food is so much more authentic, and it's just, yeah, they know all the best spots to go. So my advice, if you want to have an amazing time, is make friends with the locals. Tip number 4. Yeah, that's 4. So tip number 4 is to fake it. And when I mean fake it, I'm meaning like just pretend like you know where you're going, pretend like you know what you're doing, even if you're lost as fuck. Reason I say this is because, you know, if you're traveling alone, especially if you're in a place where there aren't a lot of tourists or a lot of people and no one really speaks your language, if that's English like myself, you don't want to look like that lost traveler where you could potentially become a target. I like to see the best in people, but things can happen. So like for me, I just walk around acting like I know where I'm going, even though I may really be lost as fuck. Like I just act like I know. I will quietly ask someone something, or like trying to get things but not trying to find out more, but without giving away that I have no effing clue where I'm going or what I'm doing or anything like that. I don't like to walk around being too flustered or anything. If I am lost, just fake it. That's more like precautionary safety. You know what I mean? And tip number 5. No. So tip number 5 is, this is my personal tip. Book the first night while you're at home. So book that in advance, but the rest of your accommodation, book it when you're there. Reason I say this is I haven't been to like millions of countries, not that there's millions, but like tons of countries. I've only done 21 so far. There's so much more I need to see. But in my experience, it's always more expensive when you're booking online or in advance. And when you get there, that same place is so much cheaper when you book direct. So my advice is just so you know where you're going when you land. You have that first night there, but then spend that day, you know, finding where the cool spots are, where you actually want to stay, and have a look and ask them how much it costs to book a night and see what's available, because you're gonna find it's gonna be so much cheaper. So plus you actually get to see what the accommodation's like rather than just photos, because sometimes, you know, I've made that mistake before where on the internet it looked really good and I got there and I was like, what the, you know what I mean. Tip number 6. So tip number 6 is to always let someone know where you're going next. So for me, I'm always like staying in touch on Facebook Messenger and chatting with my friends or, you know, family or whatnot, and I'll let my brother know or my best friends know back home, oh yeah, I'm planning to go do this tomorrow, or I'm planning to go check out the temples over here, or whatever it may be, just so someone knows where I am. Because you're traveling alone and something, God forbid, but if something does happen, at least someone knows where you were heading or where you last were. Or I always like tell even the people, you know, if I'm staying somewhere, the people at reception, or like I'm a chatty person anyway, I always let someone like that know where I'm going next, just so it is safety as well, but just so someone, you can be traced and you can be found if something does happen. Tip number 7. So tip number 7 is only just take cash that you need for that outing. Leave the rest like back in your hotel, in your safe, or in your bank account. I have made that mistake before. I'll give you an example. Like I went to New York City and I literally had my budget of what I was going to spend. I pulled everything out. My friend Don at the time, like, because I went there, my friend Don, this was not a solo trip, but this is a solo advice thing. It's a travel advice thing. I just realized I wasn't solo in New York. But my friend Don paid for our accommodation. So when I got there, I went to give him my share of the accom. And he was like, at that point I was living in Canada and it was in Canadian dollars. And he was like, oh no, just wait till it's switched over. And I was like, okay. And I had all this, no, it wasn't in Canadian dollars, it was US dollars. Anyway, you get what I mean. So it was all in US dollars. He was like, I'll just rather have it when it's back in Canadian. And that was like my budget of what I could spend in the States. And I had all my cash, didn't give it to him. We went out to dinner that night, and I left my bag in the cloakroom with all my cash. And even though it was a cloakroom, I just never thought that could happen. But yeah, after dinner, I had found that all my cash was gone. So that was basically my whole budget. It wasn't basically, it was my whole budget for the whole trip. Because I had pulled everything and changed it over to US currency, and it was pretty bad for my trip in a way, because then I had to keep borrowing money off Don because I had no spending money, and then I felt bad and there was things I couldn't do because I felt bad to ask my friends for more money when, you know, because they hadn't budgeted for my share of things. So it was a bit of a downer in that way, and then I like did pay for my comm and everything else. So the trip ended up costing me double than it should have, but that is definitely something I do now. Something I now do. Oh my gosh. Something I now do, and that is only carrying the amount of money I need at that time. Tip number 8. So tip number 8 is order yourself some roaming on your cell/mobile phone for when you go. So for me, I usually have everything on airplane mode, so I'm not racking up my phone bill while I'm away, and I just use Wi-Fi everywhere. There's cafes, restaurants, all of that. There's Wi-Fi everywhere. It's so easily accessible. But sometimes if you're roaming around and wandering the streets and whatnot, you don't have Wi-Fi, and maybe you're a bit lost and you really need Google Maps, or you really need to contact someone for an emergency, have a data pack while you're roaming, organized prior to leaving, so that way you can turn it off airplane mode and use that, and you do have service, because you never know when you may need it. But then that brings me to tip number 9. It looks funny if I do that. Hey, it looks better like that. So we'll do that. Tip number 9. So yeah, that brings me to that tip, and that's Google Maps. So this is something I learned in Bali. But Google Maps, you can actually download the maps in your area. So that way, if you're offline, when you are traveling around and not using Wi-Fi or using your own data, you can access maps and use it as your GPS. So I did not know that, but you can download cities, areas, whatever, whenever you are, like at your hotel or your hostel or whatnot. Download the map. In your area, you can choose the range of how many kilometers or miles you want to go, and it comes in handy while you're out and about, especially if you're like cruising around in a scooter or something. Like, you can have your little GPS working without chewing your data. And last tip, number 10, and this is again like one of my personal tips from my own experiences of trips. Tips from my trips. So that is to make friends with a driver. So whether it's a tuk-tuk driver, a cab driver, someone like that, always make friends with them. Like, you kind of like, my first couple of days somewhere, like I'll meet a few, because obviously I'm trying to get around. I'll get a feel, and then when I do meet one where like I really click with them, or they can't speak a bit of English, we can have a joke around or whatnot, I become really good friends with them. And the reason for that is 1, A, they're a local, 2, they know all the hot spots, 3, they will show you where to go, 4, did I say? Anyway, let's not count because my brain is not working, and we're at the last one. So yeah, I nearly made the whole video without having to like retake, except for this last bit because my brain is fried. But yeah, so making friends with the driver, also good because, for example, when I was in Bali, I just spent like a whole day chasing waterfalls. Again, I've got a vlog about that, so if you want to check that out, I'll post that here, there, or somewhere. There's a link. But anyway, I made friends with my driver, and literally everywhere we went, he would talk to the locals for me. He'd barter for me. It was really, really cool, good. And like he literally just showed me all the hot spots. Another story when I went to, where was I? Malaysia. Was it Malaysia? Yeah, I was in Kuala Lumpur. And I went there alone, and literally the taxi driver, luckily that I got when I got from like landed from the airport, he was really cool. And the drive to the city was like good 20-30 minutes. We made really good friends, and he was like fully helped me find accommodation, because back then I was like super young and didn't book anywhere. He was literally like, where are you going? I'm like, I don't know, where do you think I should go? Yeah. But anyway, he drove me to the best spot to go, and he literally took me to every accommodation until I found somewhere that I wanted to stay, and he even stopped the meter, so he was really cool. Anyway, when it was time for me to leave, he was like, let me know when you need to get back onto your plane and I will come pick you up. Anyway, that morning came and he didn't turn up, and he was running late, and I was freaking out going, oh my god, did I just trust this taxi driver to come pick me up, not order anything, now I'm going to miss my flight? And I was like starting to freak out, and then next minute a taxi driver pulls up and goes, Maz, Maz, and I've looked at him like, how does he know my name? And then he's like, I'm his friend, blah blah blah, I can't remember his name, I'm so sorry, it was like so long ago, this is like a good nearly 10 years ago. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, and he was like, he was in a car accident, and all he was worried about, he wanted to make sure you got to the airport, so he sent me. And I was like, he was in a car accident, and what? He's in hospital, and he's worried about me? I felt really touched, but I was like in shock that someone would, yeah, like he was in a car accident. Why is he even thinking about that random crazy girl that had no idea where she was going when she landed in Kuala Lumpur? But you can really like, yeah, it can really change a trip if you do that. And for me, I literally do that and make friends with drivers in every country that I go to, because it really does come in handy. Plus, they make really good friends. I hope you guys enjoyed my vlog today, and I hope you found some value in it. I hope you did find my tips useful. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button, show your support, and let me know that this is the kind of content that you do like. If you're going away and going on a solo adventure and going to travel alone, I am super jealous. There's nothing better than wanderlust and exploring, and seriously, every traveler out there knows that once that travel bug gets you, you are screwed. Like, but yes, I hope you have an amazing time wherever it is in the corner of whichever part of the globe you're going. Hang on, the globe has no corners. But thank you again for stopping by my channel. I really do appreciate it. Love you guys so, so much, and see you next time.